First up, I want to talk about grip. How you hold your weapon is a good setup in order to prepare you to have easy striking power as well as easy blocking efficiency. So how I conceive of gripping my foam boffer weapon starts with thinking pretty intuitively how I would wrap my hand around a hammer. A firm fist-like grip. And beyond that, I want to have some arc between my shoulder and curving down to my hand and my weapon tip coming up and out. So from my shoulder to my weapon tip has a rainbow-like bow or arc to it. The first thing I want to discuss with grip is a magically efficient blocking tool that involves nothing more than taking our weapon from this stance where our arm through our weapon tip is arced and turning our wrist outward. Merely turning your wrist outward can put a lot of distance between an incoming shot and you actually being struck in the arm. I'm going to stop the momentum of her weapon away from my arm. Please simply strike and hold the weapon at the strike. So as you can see, the more I turn my wrist out, I'm keeping my opponent's weapon at bay. If I turn it in, then it will push through to my forearm. A small motion of my wrist turning outward can do a lot of blocking. The next topic is stance. Stance is how we're holding our body and particularly how we're positioning our legs. I advise that you turn your body from a natural resting standing stance semi-sideways. So imagine your sternum going from facing towards your opponent to facing 45 to 90 degrees away from your opponent. Doing this innately takes half of my body target area and turns it twice as far away from my opponent. So immediately I have made my torso target area much more narrow and much more difficult for my opponent to get at. With a single weapon, I will often hold my weapon in front of my torso target area. With a sword and shield, I want to be minimizing the visible target area of my torso. And to talk about guard or how you're holding your equipment so as to guard or defend your body, I first want to talk about the idea that our body has a box inherent to it. What I mean by a box is that we have a rectangle that outlines our major torso target areas. That is a hip, a shoulder pocket, and a shoulder pocket. We essentially have this rectangular box that sets up what we're most trying to protect on the defense as well as attack into on offense. Now, particularly with a weapon and a shield combination, there's terminology that will be helpful here. Typically, my swinging side, my weapon side, will be considered my inside. This dimension of my rectangular box, my inside torso long up and down line, that's my inside. My outside is the opposite, the other side of my torso, typically covered by my shield or my more defensive piece of equipment. So, a more defensive stance with a sword and shield is going to have my weapon foot back, my shield foot forward, slightly bent, athletic stance, and my shield covers as much of my torso as possible. Now, ideally, rather than blocking low or squatting deeply to get to block a leg shot, it would be more efficient in most cases to sweep my leg back. Imagining that my hip is pulling up and back, and my leg, my foot, is dragging back to approximately where my back foot started, as I started semi-sideways and athletically bent. So no matter how you're standing, be ready to pick up your front foot and slide it back to your back foot without moving your upper body guard hardly at all.